What if I told you that the world government isn't the only entity capable of erasing 100 years of history? In the anime One Piece, the void century is a massive 800-year-old gap in time, a period so completely wiped from existence that even speaking its name can make you a target. Eiichiro Oda is a master of pulling from real-world lore, and the terrifying truth is, humanity has its own void centuries. We have massive gaps in our timeline where advanced knowledge, entire languages, and centuries of progress were completely erased from the face of the earth. Today, we are breaking down how the real world mirrors the darkest mystery of One Piece. In One Piece, the truth of the void century is carved into indestructible blocks of stone called poneglyphs. But why stone? Because the ancient civilization knew that paper, ink, and buildings could be burned down. History proved them right. Look no further than our own Library of Alexandria. Founded in Egypt around 300 BCE, it was the Ohara of the ancient world. It held up to 700,000 scrolls containing the combined medical, astronomical, and historical knowledge of humanity. So what was actually inside? This wasn't just a collection of poetry, it contained ideas that were centuries ahead of their time. We lost the astronomical works of Hipparchus, who mapped the stars long before modern optics. The early heliocentric texts of Seleucus of Seleucia, arguing that the Earth revolved around the Sun thousands of years before Galileo. Blueprints for the Aeolipile, a primitive functioning steam engine invented by Eiichiro of Alexandria. Imagine it, humanity was experimenting with steam power and solar systems over 2,000 years ago. If that knowledge hadn't been lost, our industrial revolution might have happened in the year 200 instead of the 1700s. So how did our real-world Ohara burn? Pop culture blames a single catastrophic fire set by Julius Caesar in 48 BCE. Caesar was outnumbered, cornered in the city, and ordered his troops to torch his own ships in the harbor as a distraction. The fire spread to the docks, accidentally consuming at least 40,000 scrolls stored nearby. But Caesar didn't destroy the library. Instead, Alexandria suffered a slow, agonizing death across centuries of political decay. The scrolls were written on papyrus, which naturally rots in humid coastal environments. Without continuing funding to pay armies of scribes to copy them, the books literally turned to dust. In 391 CE, Christian Emperor Theodosius I banned paganism, leading to the destruction of the library's sister branch in the Serapis Temple. By the time the city changed hands centuries later, the greatest collection of wisdom on earth has simply faded into myth. But accidental fires are one thing. What about deliberate erasure? In One Piece, the world government actively hunts down anyone trying to read the past. In the 16th century, a real-life equivalent occurred during the Spanish conquest of the Mayan civilization. A bishop named Diego de Landa spearheaded a brutal campaign to systematically erase Mayan culture. In a single night in 1562, he ordered the burning of thousands of Mayan statues and sacred books known as codices. These books detail centuries of advanced mathematics, complex astronomy, and thousands of years of indigenous history. If you think 800 years of missing history is crazy, how about an entire dark age? Around 1200 BCE, the real world experienced the Bronze Age collapse. Before this, the Mediterranean was interconnected. The Egyptians and the Greeks had massive trade networks, complex writing systems, and incredible architecture. Then practically overnight, everything collapsed. Empires fell, cities were burned, and trade stopped. In Greece, people completely forgot how to read and write. For roughly 400 years, Greece entered a literal void era of absolute silence. When they finally started writing centuries later, they had to invent a brand new alphabet. The past was so completely forgotten that the grand palaces of their ancestors became the myths and legends we read about in Homer's Iliad. There is a reason the ancient civilization in One Piece carved their history into indestructible stone poneglyphs. They knew that empires rise, paper burns, and memory fades. Oda reminds us through One Piece that history is a fragile thing, usually written by the victors, and the past is only as permanent as the materials we carved it into. We don't have a Nico Robin to piece together what we lost in Alexandria or the Bronze Age, but we have the archaeological fragments left behind. Archaeologists are still digging every day to uncover our own lost centuries, and who knows what we may uncover next. So what real-world mystery do you think inspired Oda the most? Which piece of lost history fascinates you the most? Let me know in the comments below, hit the subscribe button, Don't let the world government catch you watching this, and see you on the Grand Line.